Before the Snyder Cut, there was the Donner Cut. Today we're going to be talking about Superman 2, but not the original Superman 2, but kind of the original Superman 2. The story behind this is that the Salkins, this father and son producing team, they owned the rights to Superman. Warner Brothers kind of only distributed the movie. The Salkins owned it, and they put together this idea of doing Superman 1 and 2 back to back, right? Basically one long film cut in two, and everything was going great. They hired Richard Donner. He came in fresh off the success of The Omen, and he made an amazing Superman 1. But things didn't go as the Salkins planned. The budget ballooned. They really weren't prepared for the movie that they had set out to make, because it was big, it was new, it was something that had never been tried before. They blamed all of this on Richard Donner. So even though Richard Donner had shot a Superman 2, they fired him. They brought in another director who had kind of been following Richard Donner around the whole time, like ready to jump in at any moment if the Salkins just decided to fire him. And they reshot most of Superman 2. Enough to where Richard Donner could... It really seemed spiteful. They wanted to just not give him credit. Instead of releasing the movie, which, you know, I think, especially because Superman 1 had already been completed and put out there, been a hit, everybody kind of knew, well, Richard Donner is the man to do this. And he wanted to come back for a 3 and a 4. You know, if you look at like the Lethal Weapon franchise, Richard Donner is a guy who sticks with it. He continues on. But the Salkins wanted him gone. The stars didn't like it. Gene Hackman refused to come back. Like anything from Superman 2, the theatrical cut with Gene Hackman in it, Richard Donner shot. Because Gene Hackman just said, nope, I'm not coming back. You got rid of Richard Donner, fuck off. Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder had to. They were under contract and they weren't big enough movie stars to do what Hackman did. What we got from the theatrical cut was something I was never satisfied with. A lot of people for a long time said that Superman 2 was the better movie. I never understood that. Much like with the Joss Whedon cut of Justice League, they just threw in a bunch of silly, stupid jokes, and they made it certain parts incomprehensible. The battle at the end within the Fortress of Solitude, like Superman is throwing cellophane S's off of his chest, and he suddenly has the ability to appear in like 20 different places. He has all these new powers that don't make any sense. The Donner cut fixes that for the most part. This picks up immediately after Superman 1. General Zod, played by Terrence Stamp, and his fellow Kryptonian criminals have escaped from the Phantom Zone. This time because of the missile from Superman 1 that he throws into space. This frees Zod, and he goes to Earth to conquer it with the help of Lex Luthor. The movie is, in my opinion, much better. Much more consistent with the first one, under Richard Donner's direction. But it still, to me, is not a sequel that holds up in the way that the original movie does. Stamp is great as General Zod. Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder are great. Gene Hackman is great. There is a consistency. They bring back footage of Marlon Brando, who got cut out of Superman 2 completely, the theatrical cut. This feels like a proper Superman 2 sequel, you know. but there's just still something that's not right. Part of that is because they only had certain elements to work with. Because Richard Donner never got to quite complete Superman 2. So, for instance, there's a key scene with Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder that I kind of wish Donner had just said, okay, we're just going to take from the theatrical cut of Superman 2 what we need to. Donner, though, stubborn man that he is, he said, nope, here's what we're going to do. We have a screen test that we could put in here as this scene. And the thing is about a screen test, the lighting, the camera angles, all that, it's inconsistent. It's just very flat. You know, they're not trying to make a movie here. They're just trying to see what the actors can do. And consequently, that scene is terrible in the Donner cut and far superior in the theatrical version. Also, the spinning the world back end from Superman 1, which was originally supposed to be the end of Superman 2, but they were kind of running out of time with Superman 1. So they put the Superman spins the world back ending into the first movie, where it works. When they replace it at the end of Superman 2, it doesn't work. And especially if you're watching the movies back to back, you're just like, well, this is just what Superman does. You know, and you're thinking, why didn't he just do this at the beginning of the movie to get rid of Zod if that's what he was going to do? Now, the ending of the theatrical cut isn't great either, with the magical kiss solution. Neither version works, in my opinion. Neither ending is satisfying. And they keep the ending of Clark going back and, you know, earlier in the movie he was bullied by this truck driver, and he doesn't have his powers at that moment, and so he goes back at the very end of the movie and he beats up this cab driver, or this truck driver. That's not, I'm sorry, that's not what Clark Kent would do. I don't know why Donner, who apparently shot this, and they put it in both versions, why Donner thought that was a good idea. Ultimately, Superman 2 just doesn't all the way work. It's a good movie, and the Donner cut is the version that I think you should watch if you're a fan of the first movie, and if you're going for consistency. But there's just a lot that doesn't gel. You know, there's effects with Marlon Brando. You know, when he's in the Fortress of Solitude and he's doing his projections to talk to Superman, Brando has this sort of crystal see-through face, right? In the in the Donner cut, for a lot of it, they just have his face. Like, it's a really terrible effect. Like, it's just Marlon Brando's disembodied head floating there, and it's really bad. And I don't know why they didn't add the effect. They had the ability to do it in 1978. Why didn't they just do it here? And there's one line, it's a great line in the theatrical cut, where Superman at the end of the movie, he's about to take on Zod. Zod is in the Daily Planet, and he's roughing up Perry White and Lois Lane. And Superman appears outside of the window, and he goes, "General, care to step outside?" It's a great line. It's the best line from Superman in either of the movies. And they replace it here with, "General, haven't you ever heard of the freedom of the press?" Wah wah. No, that doesn't work. That's really a cheesy, stupid line. And again, I feel like that shot too, it's the exact same shot. And I feel like Donner probably shot both versions, and he replaced it. And It doesn't work. There is a fan edit of Superman 2 with effects that are added. It kind of mixes the theatrical and the Donner cut. It broadens the scope too. Like when Zod lands on Earth, the guy did a great job. He actually managed to they land in just the middle of Houston, Texas, and they're in the middle of nowhere. It seemed like, oh, this will be a really cheap sequence to film. In this cut, I wish I could remember the guy's name. Zod lands in Washington, D.C. They digitally added D.C. around, even to the point where, in the movie he lands in the middle of a lake and sinks into it and then, rises up. Here, the guy added it. He lands in the reflecting pool in D.C. and then rises up. It's fantastic. I would love for Warner Brothers to see that and go, let's release this fan edit, because it's the best version of Superman 2 you're going to see. Ultimately, though, it is a very good movie. It's flawed. It's a better version than what was released in the theater, but I'm still only going to give Superman 2 3 stars. It's a good movie. It's a very good movie. The Donner cut is the version to watch. But ultimately, Superman 1, it's a classic. Superman 2, not so much.
Their worlds. Sort of gave myself the challenge of, okay,